Welcome to Break Through the Ordinary podcast. Are you ready to commit to your future self? If you are, sibling duo Marc and Claudine will take you on a journey of self-discovery to unlock your highest potential through conversations with thought leaders, healers, coaches, and entrepreneurs. We're here to share practical tools and strategy to generate the life you envision. New episodes drop every Monday.
Great. We get to welcome Mary Bicknell, LCSW, speaker, author, podcaster, and former psychotherapist turned professional development coach and leadership mentor for women who want to find out more in life and find out about themselves. Mary takes a stand for women, choosing to be bold, showing up fully, grabbing everything they want personally and professionally, and doing so unapologetically and guilt-free.
That's right.
Want a double dose of inspiration, action, and a tiny kick in the butt? You can listen to her podcast, Lead an Uncommon Life, because it's your time to write your own rules. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here.
Like
Thank
a call
you.
to action.
Yeah, right?
Yes. So can you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey, right? You know, from your professional journey, and where's the why? Where are you now? We heard a little bit about there, but I'd like to get our listeners to get a sense of who you are.
Yeah. So, my brand is all about lead a life uncommon. And I think that's really what I've always wanted, right? Ever since I was like a little kid, I was a latchkey kid, 5 years old. Nowadays, can you even fathom a 5-year-old unlocking a door to an apartment by themselves, right? So growing up, I grew up in a situation where there wasn't the big thinkers. There wasn't, it was like middle class America, right? None of my family went to school, college. No one has a business. No one has a seven-figure life. So there was no example for me. It was a very common existence, right? But there was something inside of me, right? There was something that was inside that was frequently squelched, right? So it was tapped down. And my whole life, it's like pushing against that, pushing. So I ended up moving out before I graduated high school, ultimately went to college, have 3 degrees, clinical license, own 2 houses now, all the things. And my mission really is the why is because I am so committed to having women having financial sovereignty, emotional stability, freedom, and ultimately to live a life where they have all the time that they want to. As I said, as you were saying, Marc, unapologetically and guilt-free, because here's the thing, right? We can all have all the things. Like I have all the things if I wanted to, right? But if there's an attachment of guilt around it, that's the average person is mired in their own guilt about wanting more. And so my push for every single one of us is to allow yourself to want what you want. And frankly, to kick you out of the commonality that could be your life because you've been told your whole entire life what you should be, what you should do, and all the things. And it's not easy to be stand out. It's not easy to write your own rules. But it's so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this.
Yeah. And I think of the conversation for women, no offense, Marc, is really we have also had a script given to us like, don't stand out too much. Yeah. Stand behind, support, lift others. And really, I'm hearing you say, new paradigm. Right?
Well, we can do all of that, but we need to do it to our first self or to ourself first, right? We have to do it to ourself first without the guilt, without feeling badly that, oh, you know what, today I want to do this. No, I don't want to bake your 3,000 gluten-free, allergen-free brownies for the PTA. You just because I feel like going to yoga instead and no apology, you don't have to apologize for that. And so, it's not that we as women don't want to help people. We are biologically programmed with estrogen not to kill our own young, right? We're it's a biological thing for us. Literally, chemically, we are saying we want to help people. And so, it's this internal thing, right? We have this drive internally that we want to help people physically, biologically, and then conditioned, where we're so conditioned from tiny, tiny, tiny girls. just like you were saying, Claudine, don't raise your hand. Don't be bossy. What about her? I'm just having this flash, to be honest. It came to me about how I push my own daughter. So I have a 15-year-old daughter. Her name is River. She's gorgeous, all the things, brilliant. I just had a flash when we were talking right now about this moment when she was like 4 and I live in Oregon, and it was like the Easter egg thing. And, and she had her little basket, and it was like, you had to wait till the gun went off or the sound or whatever, the bell. And then I was like, run to the, now remember, she's 4. Okay. I'm like, run to the middle. Everybody starts at the end, and I was like coaching her, prepping her into like being the badass egg getter. Right. And she ran out there, and one of her little friends got bumped and knocked over her basket. And River stopped to help her put all those eggs back in her basket. And then the moment I'm talking about is me. I realized, and I was like, don't help her. Go get your own damn candy. And, then I kind of felt like, is this being a bad mom? And then you have that guilt for even pushing your own kid to be a leader, to do all the things. This was a side note why this came up. This was not like I didn't plan it. It just literally popped into my brain about traditionally we program our daughters to, help. And she did. And she was, of course, she came back and she's like, I hardly have any eggs. And I was like, I didn't want to be, I did not say, I told you, I didn't do that. Okay. I am a therapist. So I didn't my goal is not to screw her up. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Being a man listening to this, so part of my work, and I look at even deeper into it, is men doing our work to step up, because I want women, it's their inalienable right, period. But I want men to meet women in this place where they are in their power, because this really, the gift for all of us is when women are in that kind of power and in that place and we meet them, you have a beautiful life. You have everything you ever thought you wanted and things you haven't thought of. So it's beautiful, because that's where I want women to be, but I want the men to meet them there. So
well, I mean, let me tell you, I'm happily married. In fact, my husband and I just had our anniversary recently. 16 years. We've been together 17 years. And we're that couple that's still very into each other. But it also takes work. And, he's not my first husband, right? So it's also, I had to learn some stuff about myself. And it was us also navigating that I am a strong personality. And where we would have challenges is where I would tamp myself. I call it dummying down, right? I would dummy down, not because he's not brilliant and smart and all of those things, but because, traditionally I'm conditioned at my age, right? Where the woman is the wife and the da-da-da-da-da and the man, and so it took some navigating, right? It took some navigating to be, the go-getter, and to be conscious also that my husband's a retired lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. So he doesn't, I don't tell him what to do, right? That's not his personality. So, it does take some navigating, and it does take a strong man, right? To allow themselves to not feel intimidated by a strong, dynamic, successful leader that I consider myself to be.
That's why I said men step up to that, because we want
step on up, man.
Be,
right, exactly.
And this is funny, because we're talking, because the holidays are right upon us, and women tend to be the cook and take care of everything. We're talking all these traditional cultural ways of being. So in that space, what does, first of all, the holidays mean to you, and then how does that play into all these cultural norms?
Wow, really, this is like a touchy subject, right? So I was so excited to be able to come on here and have this conversation about the holidays, because they're it's this it's this two-sided coin. One is gleeful and ripe and rich of delightful traditions and sweet memories. And for a lot of people, the holidays are just, like a shit show. they're just, it's hell. It's terrible. They don't want that. They like, ugh. And so for me and how I help clients, right, and help myself navigate the holidays is really what you're saying is exactly true. I want you to think, like, let's pause just for a minute and think about what's a traditional holiday. Traditionally, guess what? It's the kids with the little, it's me taking my child out of her home with all of her cool toys and going to like the in-laws or to the parents. What is that about? Like, I want to change that right now. Let's all stop doing that. But, do you know what I mean? Why are we doing that? And, let's go to grandma's house and grandma's all stressed out because that turkey is going to be dry again, like it always is. So I think, a lot of times we have to get to a point where we allow ourselves to make a decision for ourselves. What do we want our holiday to be for our immediate family, for ourselves first, for our children? And then the extended family, frankly, has to come last, right? Or next, or number two. But yeah, typically it's the woman, right? She's like slaving in the kitchen. She's not ordering at Whole Foods, which, by the way, everybody, you can order from Whole Foods and have that turkey delivered, right? And it's like $50. It's the best $50 you'll ever spend. Like, take some control back in your life so that you're not so stressed out. But so it is traditional. So look, in my house, I don't buy my husband's family anything. I used to, I don't anymore. And because it hit me one day, my husband didn't marry me to do his laundry, to be the cook, and to buy his mom a Christmas present. And I had to like have that dawning, like, wait a minute, like, that's not a job I want. And it's okay. It's okay. Everybody out there, it's okay. You can choose something different. You can say, honey, it's August. Don't forget to ask your mom what she might want. Honey, it's September, or whatever. Like, or have them put it on the damn calendar. You can program stuff into your Google Calendar, by the way, that sends reminders. So it could be like, I need to buy my mom a Christmas present. Like, there's these options that we can support our family around. I don't know why I went off on that. I have to tell you, it's because after I made the decision, it's probably this. It's after I made the decision not to buy any more family presents. It was like so liberating. I didn't have that pressure. I didn't have that, oh my God, she likes Cardinals. She likes, I'm going to send her something. I used to do the whole thing where every Christmas, every one of River's school pictures, I would frame it, and then I would say, and then I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? It just doesn't, for me, it wasn't, it was okay for me to say, I'm not doing that anymore.
So one, I want to acknowledge you for being in the awareness of what was serving you, because then authentically who you serve, right, which is your family.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing there's a place here that everyone gets a permission to do that evaluation. Like, what is working? Because, when you said that about kids, you're right. We open up, create all this joy, this excitement, and there's a lot of stress in packing, but there's this joy. They experience just the wonderment. And you're right. Then it's like, okay, you got to go put your dress on. We have to get going. And it's like, well, but.
It's terrible.
I have never even considered that from a space of a child's experience before, like to be taken away from the stuff that, just look at it. You can come back. And kids, we get that as an adult, but not a child, right? The postponement for certain age groups, they're not going to get that later. Okay, that's what that means. I get to come back.
But the question becomes, for what, right? Why not celebrate, Christmas Eve with your family or something like that? I think we need to just relook at things. I just think we need to, like I say, being bold stands for me for being a brave, outgoing leader, deciding to write your own rules and lead a life uncommon. And this is the whole thing. What are the rules that you have been conditioned to? And one of them may be, oh my God, it's 10 o'clock, hurry up, get the kids wrapped up. And then we're going to go to, Aunt Sally's, we're going to go to grandma's, and then we're going to go to the other grandma. And before you know it, you've got like kids who are so unhappy by the time they get home. But guess what? They're not probably going to play with them. Or if they are, then you're tired. You're going to be tired, my friend. You're going to be tired, and you want those kids to go to bed. You shrug them away from the coolest stuff that it took you forever to buy and put together. You were up all night putting that stuff together. So it's just like, like, why don't we allow people to write their own, like, write your own rules? I'm just so like all about this. And it's just, like, this is what, so this holiday season, write your own rules. What would make you gleeful? What would make you joyful? What would make you happy? What would make you feel relaxed? Is it a big, huge dinner, or is it like, ordering some pizza? Like, let it be the thing that you want it to be one time. Here's my challenge, right? One time to experience it and see whether or not there's a different sense of satisfaction in your life.
Yeah. No, I love this. I'm thinking of even like, so you're married and you're saying that, right? Someone's got to open up the door to this conversation, to ask those questions, either, be the husband, the wife, or partners, or same-sex marriage, however that may look, and say, something, let's write our own script. And I can remember myself, very tradition-based. So I've been doing Thanksgiving since I was 17. It was a rebellious act at first, but that became Claudine's tradition. And I can remember one year I said to my partner, I want to do it differently and see what it was. And we went to an Airbnb up in New Hampshire to see what that is. Like, they created community. They had the classic meal. And I was like, well, how did this fit in me? And like, I actually realized there's real things I really did love and cherish about the tradition I had. And I had a new relationship to it and a new ownership of it, with not like I had to do it from the rebellious or it's on me. But wow, how do I really enjoy this? And people know me. That's my favorite meal, the tradition of the year.
Yes.
Right? I feel we should have it more than Thanksgiving, but it's that bold step of, right, I want to taste it. Let's spice this life a little differently. Yeah.
Of course. And then you had that, like you said, appreciation. So this is not about throwing the baby with the bathwater out, right? This is not about throwing away your traditions. This is about taking that moment. What do you love about the traditions? And what is it that, when that moment of stress happens, that's your moment to ask the question. And every point of life, right? Not just the holidays, but really with everything, is like, is this how I want to feel? Is this satisfying to me? Is staying up, getting up early and frying that turkey at 5 a.m. so you have it by whatever noon? Is it worth it? If it's worth it, then, being tired is like, that's what you've chosen. There's that big difference between the choice, like you said, versus the rebellion of it. Right. And definitely.
Yeah. I'm listening to you and I'm like, this is pushing, I could see this pushing up on people, the guilt to even think of, oh, I'm not going to do it your way or the way you had me in the box for 20 years or 10 years, whatever. And it's like, can you give us some tips, or our listeners some tips that how they can start shifting their roles? Because there is these roles. You could share how the expectations of those roles and how do they shift those roles.
Okay, I have the best example, and I'm almost like, here's a really huge, massive, and I don't even know that I've shared this very often because it's tender. I'll just put it this way. So it's, first of all, it always starts with, who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? Right? What do you want to experience with this one life that you have? And most people never take the time to ever ask themselves that. And this is a huge question. I know that you all agree with this 100%. And this is your paradigm, right? About like connecting with your future self. Here's the thing. Here's the story. And this is the truth. And this is like, it's, when I even share this, it's kind of like shocking. And I give myself this grace and reverence for the former me. So I was 35. I was 35 and a half. And my whole entire childhood growing up, from being very tiny, my stepfather would, when I was really little, they would hide like the big present. And there was always like a treasure hunt for that. And it would start with like the first clue in my Christmas stocking. And then it would, like, one time when I was 12, I got my ears pierced and they gave me little emerald earring studs that would have been, one year it was like a beanbag chair, and it was like all these things. So as I got older and I became an adult, it started to be scratch off lottery tickets. Okay. So by the time I'm 35, mind you, I'm 35 and a half. I'd been married and divorced, like grown woman. working at Hopkins, like own my own house, had a private, like all the things. I finally said to my mother, I don't want to do this anymore. Because they'd been living in the same house forever. I can walk through that house blind and know where every single thing is in that entire house. I was tired of the facade. God, I can't even believe I'm sharing this. This is like literally, I can feel the emotion coming up, to tell you the truth, because I don't know that I've ever even shared this like publicly or in an interview or anything. It's like the emotion that I had having to tell my mother, I don't want to do this anymore. And I realize now, why I didn't want to tell her that, because I knew the backhand I would get, which happened. And so what happened was I told her like, I can't do it anymore. I know where every like bird's nest, candle stuff on the sit. Like I know everything. I could walk through that house now mentally and there's nothing that's changed. And I don't want to do it anymore. I can't, I don't want to pretend. Here's the thing. I was tired with my family of perpetuating the BS lie. I hate that. I just, frankly, that's like, and I don't use that word. I rarely use that word, and it's a strong word, but that's how, like that. I dread that dread. I have to pretend. Oh my God. I refuse to be that in my life. So anyhow, I told my mother, and of course what happened? Oh my God. The fallout from that was horrible. He just wants to make you happy. He just wants to, and look what you've done. And I knew I was going to get that. But remember, but here's the thing. That was my role in my family. Peacemaker, faker, facade, pretender. Don't speak up. This is why it's funny that my brand is about being bold, write your own rules, and lead a life uncommon. It exemplifies everything that I had to push against. So anyhow, that was not the best Christmas. And ever since then, I don't like holidays around my family, because like, I don't want to feel the feeling. I don't want to be a woman who sacrifices my own well-being and feel the emotion of dishonesty about who I really am. And so this is the question, I think, that is like, how could I make that different? What shifted? I knew holidays were going to be forever shifted, and I was willing to do that, because I wasn't willing. Like, I'm 54. I can't even fathom having another 20 years of walking into the house. By the way, I don't see my family for the holidays. But walking into the house and just pretending. And so it's hard. It's not easy. But the leaving, after just being like, oh my God, it's just not worth it to me.
So again, back to there's an inventory, right? It starts with self.
Yes.
Right. These are the questions. Or if you're in relationship, it's in relationship, right?
Yes.
Who am I now? Who do I want to be? And is it congruent? And I'm hearing for you, you were like, it's not congruent. Not congruent.
Not congruent.
And so that's an invitation to our listeners. Like, are you living in congruency, right? Or is there a persona that you get to put on to show up how is expected of you?
Yes.
Right? Right? Like, you're known for the jelly mold and the smile, right? But you're inside, you're like, I hate freaking jelly
the marshmallows,
mold.
right?
Yeah.
Because you guys remember, right? The marshmallow, maybe not all the listeners will remember this, but like there was a time like Jell-O with little like mandarin oranges with right? Marshmallows on top. Y'all remember that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That.
What's the persona?
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
So in my own family, like now I've created my own traditions. Like we always have matching pajamas, and we always have pumpkin pie for breakfast. We're very big on pumpkin pie. So it's like now I've been able to be the mom, the wife, the lover, all the things with friends and everything that makes it joyous, and creating my own traditions, and having to have worked through some of that, I will acknowledge there was some guilt there. I don't want to we don't want to let people down. Yeah. That's the whole point about it. And it's the decision about who are you ultimately responsible for not letting down. I believe it's ourselves first. Mm-hmm. And how can you navigate honoring what you want with then honoring what your family might want? And so, as I said, in my family now, my, husband, children, etc., it's like I've created something that is And I don't know, maybe one day my daughter's going to be like, I'm tired of wearing those same matching pajamas. And you know what?
I was kind of
It'll
wondering,
be
like,
okay. What?
do you check in with her? Like,
Yeah.
hey, all right, here we are. I don't know how old your daughter is, but here, 15 years we're doing this. Does it still work for you?
Yeah.
Like, do we reevaluate as a family unit and saying, like, this don't work, this does work. Okay,
Yes.
right? Like, where do we get to be in that co-creation?
That's the beauty. Thank you for saying that. Co-creation. Like, isn't that the delight?
Yeah.
Oh, that just makes my heart sing, right?
Right.
And she's 15, and recently I had the conversation, because I like to throw little things out. I'm like, maybe this holiday let's not exchange presents. Let's just, and she's like, I don't want to do that. Oh, okay. I said, let's just let's go somewhere and create memories. And she's like, that's what you want. That's not what I want. And I'm like, all right, she's 15.
Okay, so you're testing it. You're testing the waters. Okay.
I understand that completely. I want to go to an island, in a warm island, and my son still loves that Christmas home in here.
That's
so
right.
it's
right.
Yeah. It's funny. So everybody has a different desire or how they want the holidays to look. And some people, like, there's certain aspects of the holiday I love.
Yeah.
How do you recommend people self-care under that? Because there might be, okay, there's certain things I need to change, but I like certain things. But how do you recommend self-care, what people can do for self-care in that place? Because it's always a changing process. Each year you might look and go, oh, I want to change that or this.
Yeah. And, each year, the reality is like, we never know what next year is going to bring, or this year is going to bring, or 5 years from now. Right. And so I think the biggest first thing to do is ask, sit down and truly ask yourself, like, what do holidays mean to me? What do I find important about the holidays? What's the real desire for the experience that I want for the holidays? Because for some people it is that connection around the table and the foods and the memory that the foods bring and all of that. And for other people, it's really that they want to go somewhere and they want to experience. So what is it? Is it the memories that you want to relive delightfully? Is it do you love being in the kitchen? Like, what is it that you personally really love? And then ask yourself, here's the next piece. What do I not want any longer? And how can I navigate that in a way that honors myself and other people? So, for example, it could be, in my house, every year we rotate who decorates the tree. Now, we have 3 trees in my house, so I could say that we all get one because there's 3 of us, but the main big tree. So every year, and you can't say anything, like, that tree is going to get decorated. That's the way, because that's what we came up with collectively. Now, personally, I love a beautiful tree, and I have a great tree in the kitchen that I love. And it's the same stuff. It's all the stuff from when River was little and all the things. So it's really about that. So part of, I believe, self-care is, and sometimes I have to be, it's like sometimes we just throw this out, like take a bath, self-care. I believe self-care is deeper than that. It's so much deeper. It's about our emotional well-being. And how do we foster that? So it sure as heck starts way before the holidays, right? It starts way before the holidays. And it starts with, what do I want to feel like every night when my head hits the pillow? I want to feel proud of myself. I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel like I did well by the world. And so when you know that, now you get to decide and make a plan for that. Like, what do I need to do in order to have that happen? And then how do I have to, the whole concept I like to teach people is be, do, have. A lot of times we have it backwards. If I could have that perfect body, then I could do the marathon and then I'd be a marathon runner. It's totally different. It's like, if you know you want to have peace when you put your head on the pillow at night, what do you need to do to have that? And then who do you need to be to have that? So if I want to be a great mother, I need to be her now, not when one day I read the book. So it's the same with the holidays, right? It's like, when I put my head on the pillow at night and I'm not pretending, I don't want to be a pretender. So what do I need to do so that I'm not putting my head on the pillow at night? And then, so for me, being really conscious of my self-care looks like, what do I know to be true about how I'm screwing myself up? How am I actually sabotaging myself when I'm in denial about when am I denying what I really want? When do I get caught up in, I have 5 blind spots that I talk to clients about. One is about judgment. I feared the judgment of my mother saying, I don't want to do that anymore. And there comes a moment where you have to decide my well-being was more important than the lie that I was perpetuating for everybody, right? Being a woman who's truthful, even if I had never learned how to navigate that with my parents, even at 35. So I think that's what it's about. It's really about, we get to choose how we want to feel and experience life. And we can also do it in a way that is not harming to other people, right? And yet there's also a line. So we've got people-pleasing poison, right? We've got delusional denial. We've got fear of judgment of other people. Like those are some of the blind spots that a lot of people have.
Okay, so now I also want your last 2, because you said 5.
Right. Well, fear of success and fear of failure, right? Sometimes when people, I work with a lot of leaders and, when here's the holiday, right? Here, perfect example. How often do you actually talk about your successes? Big or small, right? And not like, oh, I just did this huge launch or I wrote this book. It doesn't have to be like that. But sometimes we're afraid to even share our successes. And guess what? One of my successes was telling my mom I didn't want to do the whole thing anymore. And I was afraid of that. And that would have been successful. And it is successful. But sometimes we're afraid of that, or fear of failure, right? Oh my God, I'm really nervous. Like, how many people are listening that think about this for the holiday? I really am terrified to have the holiday because what fear of failure, right? What if the turkey is crappy? What if they don't like that present? What if
they don't get along?
Yes. Right. All of the things, right?
Yes. Or somebody acts up, or that one does.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also hear there's a place, honoring of self. Asking these questions, and Mark and I both also live by we do have distinction among many others.
Yes.
I'm also hearing in the self-care there's a boundary that you own, that I'm worthy of this, and I'm not sure if everyone always does that. And so, do you have boundaries that you set up that guide you even into the holidays, or ones that maybe you co-create because of the holidays?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, first, one of the boundaries is I do not buy other people presents. So that was one of the things. It's really about, so some of the boundaries are, first of all, I want to just tell everybody, guess what? The holidays come at the same time every year. And
really?
The 25th.
What bothers the hell out of me, to be quite candid, is when people are like, oh my God, I can't believe it's the holidays. Well, life does get quick, right? I can't believe it's the holidays either. But so what do you need to do ahead of the time? So establish some effective boundaries around your own time management. I believe strongly that we can buy time, right? I'm very big on that. Like, pay somebody $20 an hour and go have them do a little shopping, or pay the $1 more when you go to Nordstrom's or wherever and have somebody wrap that present. Like, what are some of the things, like, know yourself, right? Pay some kid to come in, some 15-year-old, some 16-year-old to come in and put that bike together. Like, where do you want to experience? So the boundaries back to, what do you want to experience for the holidays so you're not worn out? Because look, what I don't want anymore to hear from anybody, and this is like, their holiday martyrdom. Oh my God, you never know how hard I worked. I worked so hard. I just, I'm slaving away in the kitchen, and it's like, let's be done with that. So the boundary is, what do you want to experience, and how can you make that happen? Because guess what? You're empowered to do that. You're a grown adult. You can make that happen.
Yes. Excellent. Love that. And I never thought about it in terms of buying time, because I'm also one of those people who will really promote, where's your team? Like,
exactly.
If you need to pay for support, then get the VA, hire someone to do this, that, right? Because where's also your zone of genius?
Exactly.
So I love that. Right.
And I think that, then it also gets, and I love talking about money and making money and how you, to make money, People are like, oh my God, you're talking about money. I'm like, why would I not talk about money? Money buys things for me. Money buys my time back. Money buys opportunity. You know what money also buys? It pays for my team. It pays for people, right? I've created my own little baby mini economy. And that's my responsibility, I believe, as a contributor to the world, right? And so it's like, we could have a whole big conversation about money, but it's about your team. There's people right now that love to wrap presents. I mean, they love it. Why not pay somebody $20 an hour, have them come in for the 4 hours, $80, and then you go relax a little bit. Like what?
That is a new paradigm. I mean, honestly, I'm in my listening and I'm thinking, I make up. There's people going, huh? What? But it's my presence. But like, okay, if you have a need to do it, but you're right, not from a place of martyrdom, but choice. That's the empowerment.
I don't pay anybody to wrap my presents. My tradition for myself is after my daughter goes to bed, I pull stuff out from all the hidden places in the house. Right? When she was young, I had a special wrapping paper just from Santa, which of course, when she found out about no Santa, that was hell, right? That was a horrible day. But anyhow, I had special wrapping paper, right? Just for Santa, which Santa, that's a whole nother conversation, but I'll let that go today. So I personally have a tradition, right, of wrapping. So I don't pay anybody for that. But yeah, I know what you're saying. People are like, oh, but I can do it. I know, but you can do a lot of things. That doesn't mean you should be doing everything.
Great, right? Like even the cookies, I grew up with a tradition of doing that with my older stepsisters. I loved it. And then I started to try it as an adult. I loved it, but the time really wasn't an effective place of joy making. And it was like, okay, either make less, and that's what it was. It's like, okay, I can make less, right? Like it didn't have to be 7 variety types anymore. It's like, what am I doing to myself? So stressful.
Okay. I totally feel you. And so this is how I've mitigated that. Okay. Because I used to love like the day, flour on the floor, like every kind. Okay. Here's what I've done instead. Okay. And feel free to just borrow this. I now do a cookie exchange and I tell people, you're not allowed to bring anything with, and I tell them, no chocolate chip cookies, no oatmeal cookies, and nothing with raisins. Why? Because that's what I like to bake. So when they come to my house, they're getting chocolate chip cookies. They're getting oatmeal varieties with cranberries or with raisins, right? So I tell people, and then I have them bring that with their recipes, and then depending on the number of people. So now you've got those 7 varieties. Now you've got, so that's how I do it. And then it's
what a direct request.
That. I'm coming over, by the way, for those cookies.
But that's a very direct request, though, right? Like you know yourself well enough to say, this is how I want to have it. Now people can go, yay, or like, no, not for me. Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you don't want to come to the cookie exchange, I have zero attachment to your saying no. I mean, right? I don't care. Why would they not want to come? Like, why? Like, I don't care if you go to the store, you go to Whole Foods or News or whatever your local like cute store is. Go buy yourself some M&M cookies. I don't care. Come and enjoy it. And I love having people in my home. I just said I had 3 trees, so I'm very like. On Instagram, you'll see it all. Like I'm very, very, but yeah, like make a decision. This is back to what do you want?
Yep.
How do you have a boundary? And for me, the boundary is I don't want to spend all day in the kitchen anymore, but I do want to have fun with my friends and family. I do want to eat a lot of different variety of cookies. I don't have to cook them, bake them all. Yeah. I mean, very easy.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. This is...
Yeah, and Marc does Christmas for us. So, wow, bro, I can't wait to see what opens up for us this year.
I don't put too much deal. I've finessed it over the years for sure.
Right, because there's also what I'm hearing is like not the attachment to expectations or others, like taking it on.
Well, I keep thinking about choice, and you said bold. It is bold because if I look at people, even in my own growth, how many times, even in the smallest ways, I'm catering to others, or I'm going outside myself, or I'm not listening to my truth, or I'm not speaking it. It is bold because you are going to ruffle feathers. I don't care how nicely you do it. it ruffles, because we all like certainty or boxes, or, even though we really love uncertainty in the end, like there's more adventure, there's more life there, there's more. But how do you handle people's expectations and unwelcome feedback in that place? Because you're going to get some, and how do you manage that? It's a delicate balance.
It is a delicate balance, and I'm not saying that it's easy, guys. It's also, here's the thing, right? So I have a global consulting company. I just was speaking not long ago, frankly, all the time. Like, look, you got haters, you got trolls, you have people who like in the world. So we'll for like exterior, right? For those people who are listening, who are leaders and have their own business and all the things, like you're not going to make everybody happy. Mm-hmm. And when you finally make that decision, I'm okay with not making everybody happy. That is the moment. That's a life-changing moment. And this is the work I do with clients, right? To help them get to that point. And with your family as well, right? There's going to be moments that your family is going to not like that. At the end of the day, it goes back to what I said earlier. How do you want to feel when you put your head on the pillow at night? Because let me tell you, it's not worth it if you put your head on the pillow at night having sold out. Whether it's selling out to your mom, selling out to potential clients, like after a while, that's what adds up. I believe so strongly that is part of the catalyst for mental health issues in our world today, right? As everything has to be perfect. Everybody has to say yes. Everything has to be like, no. And I mean, frankly, I just did this talk. Like I said, I just did this big, huge event and there was hundreds of people there. And I got the comments back and they were like, brilliant, fabulous. Like, and then one Sally Jane was like, too much attitude for me. And our brain is designed to seek out the negative for safety. So when you also understand that the way our brains work, like when I saw that comment, my brain fired up, my heart started pounding, and I had that response, that automatic response. I'm designed for that. We're designed as humans for that. And guess what? I got that from my mother when I was like, I'm not doing that thing anymore with Jim. But it was okay. There comes a moment when you're like, I can't make everybody happy. I choose not to try and make everybody happy. What I need to do is like be honoring myself first, because at the end of the day, the more that I'm true to myself, the more I can actually contribute to the world. And it sounds almost counterintuitive, but the more you are the real you, and the more that you are solid in your values and convictions, the bigger impact that you will make, because then you're not worried about what everybody thinks, because you've made the decision ahead of time that people are not going to like certain things. Great. Now you can double down on the things that matter and mean something to you. I believe strongly that's the thing that we need to focus on.
Wow. Thank you.
This is radically different. Yes.
And from this space, I want to call forth in a co-creation of how can our listeners embody this conversation as we move into the holidays? Right. So we do have a call to action, a challenge, so to say, that we ask our listeners to do. And I've had several moments of inspiration, but I want to create it between the three of us, because I'm hearing there's an authenticity. Design holidays from this authenticity, right? The be do have. Like, how are you going to go to sleep that night? What is it you want to experience? But is there something you want to suggest, or we can create right here? And maybe it is one of those questions that you ask yourself, or if you're in relationship and you design a holiday, like, what is it? So I just want to open it up to the two of you also.
What do you think, Mark?
I would think this holiday coming, that you look at something, take one piece that you've been doing that you don't want to do anymore, and share that in a way, communicate that to whoever's in this holiday with you, and say, look, I'm not doing this anymore. Right. So being true to yourself, because it could be overwhelming to try and take the whole holiday and go, you know what, I'm going to the Caribbean, the hell with all. But at least start and take one piece that, oh my gosh, I have been doing this my whole life. I am so done, like you said, with that with your parents. I'm so done. Look, I don't want to do this anymore. If somebody wants to take it, I'm just not doing this. This is not true to me. So if people could do one piece for the holiday, it could be a huge piece for them.
What an opening.
Here's the other
everybody.
thing too. Here's the other thing. Yeah, just like what you're saying, Claudine.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, the reality is you might bring it up and people might be like, thank God I've hated this for years too. But
that's what I started thinking.
And I'm like, we're like, why didn't we talk about this before? So sometimes it can feel so heavy. Oh my God, she's going to change that. But here's the lesson. Oh, I got chills. So I know that this is right. Here's the lesson. The lesson is, sometimes we think we're mind readers. Sometimes this is back to what I was saying, when you're your real self and you honor it, you might be really surprised. Like, you might be so surprised that everybody wants to stop doing the treasure hunt. Everyone wants to stop doing all the cookies. And so when are you going to allow yourself to truly be honest and honoring yourself unapologetically? When are you going to be bold enough, right? When are you going to be uncommon enough to speak your real truth, your real mind? So I think it does go back. I like that you said that too, to pick one thing. Here's a couple ways. So people are like, well, great. How am I going to tell my mom? Okay. I didn't handle that when I was 35 very well. Here's a couple ways to say it. So let's give it really tactical, right? Here's one, because I'm very big on make your yes and your no, your no. Because I want to ask you, here's one thing first. And this is, learning the discernment of how to give a no, a gracious no versus a resentful yes, right? The resentful yes is I'm going to bake everything and do all the things. So remember, people don't want you to give a resentful yes. They would rather hear an honest, gracious no, thank you, than for you to say yes and then be so mad about it and feel crappy and like, I can't believe I know. So here it is. It's like, so if somebody's like, I want you to bake all the brownies, you could say, Claudine, I really appreciate that you thought about me and that you love those brownies. This year, I don't have time on my calendar for that. I've got a lot on my plate right now. How about I give you $50 so that you can buy the supplies or whatever? That's one way to do it. Here's another way. I was thinking about the holidays and how I'm the one that cooks everything. And Sally, I really like your green beans that you make at, this time of year. Or I really love it when you make those rolls at the 4th of July party. Like, I think I would love for all of you to start bringing the sides. Something a lot like you can ask for what you want. Yeah. Doesn't it kind of go back to that we don't even know hardly how to ask for what we actually want?
Making requests are powerful.
Yes.
Yep. Being open to requests.
I was just thinking in this is maybe even have a round table, because we think we're the only one feeling this.
Exactly.
Like, nobody else is hating the holidays or not liking this part of it or this part.
Yeah.
But if you had a round table, you'd probably go around the table and they go, oh, I can't stand this. I don't really like this. So anyway, that first step, or, round table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. That could be like
up.
the new thing. And don't do it like in the beginning of December. Like, do it, like in the, like
now.
Pick one thing maybe for this holiday season. And then after, like maybe this year, it's like pick one thing. And then after the holidays say, hey, that was really cool how we changed that little one thing. Why don't we just, at New Year's, let's plan, let's think about how do we want to handle all the holidays coming up for the year?
Sure.
Which could include not just the holiday season in December, but for all the other holidays that everyone who's listening might be experiencing, right? Whether it's 4th of July or Thanksgiving or, birthdays, right? All of that.
Beautiful invitation for our listeners to choose their one thing, and also open it up for feedback afterwards. See what how's that land for you? Get feedback from others, and post on that on your Facebook page and tag us. So that's wonderful. And Mark and I also contribute and participate in these these challenges. So we have some conversationing to have. So thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you
I'll do
I
the
like
same.
that, because I think
do the same.
everybody has a piece, and everybody has a piece that they can share. And you might create a whole nother holiday that's mind blowing, that everybody goes, oh my God, this is more joyful than any.
Exactly.
That's and authentic.
When we've been sitting in that, you wonder why there's so much tension in the family. Everybody's probably doing what they don't want to do, and everybody's like, I don't want this.
Someone's got to open the conversation and give permission for that.
Great.
Right.
So we'd like to transition into some quick fire questions. So what comes to you unfiltered.
Got it.
However that may be. How do you define love?
I'm quiet because I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
How do I define love? I think it's two things for me. One is a feeling in my body, the feeling state of in my body. It's probably a sense of that feeling of protection, a feeling of vulnerability and being willing to be vulnerable. Right. So it's that feeling. And then the action, like the verb of love is for myself, like giving to myself, everything that we've talked about today. Like that's an act. What we've talked about today, honoring our real self, that's an act of love for myself.
Yeah.
And it's that navigating, removing the guilt and instead saying, you know, instead of having that guilt being more like that, I did that for me and it's okay, Mary, I love you. Right. And the same with my family or the same with my community or my clients. It's the action of supporting them, being honest with them, being candid with them.
Thank you.
Wow. Do you have any daily routines or habits that have you show up the most effective in your life?
100%. So, I never roll out of bed picking up my phone ever. And I want you all to stop doing that. I don't live my life in reaction mode as best that I can. And when we roll over and pick up our phone or anything like that, we then allow other people's agendas to start the day. So for me personally, I get up, I'm usually up before anybody in my house. I get a pot of coffee, a little French press, and I will go and I will sit with my journal and I will think and I will write out, what do I want today? How do I want to feel today? What's the experience or what did I dream about? What is that really meaning to me? And then I'm a businesswoman. So I sit down and I look at my numbers every single day, you guys. I write down how much, what are my numbers? Where am I? In sales? Where am I in income coming in? And it only takes a few minutes. What's my projection? What do I want for the year? I really get intentional with that and really conscious of that. Because if we're not conscious of it, then the day goes away. Then I'm very big on being proactive first. So whether that's exercising, whether that is sending out an email to someone first, before I've responded or reacted to anyone. Except for my cats, because by now they would have been nagging me to feed them, right? And like that kind of thing. But that's every single day. That's exactly my morning.
Oh, thank you for
I
sharing
like that non-reaction to the outside world. You create your own. That's
You
good.
got to keep the sanctuary, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there two books that you were like, these two will always be with me? Like these are my guiding posts. Could you share with us?
Oh, I have so many books. Like I have books all around me. One of the very first books that I read as a businesswoman, there's two books that I read. One is just the classic Bible of Think and Grow Rich, right? And I know most of us in the entrepreneurial world or any businessy world, we've read that. Another author that I read, Barbara Staney, and she wrote a book that was The Secrets of the Six-Figure Woman. And this is decades ago or whatever, maybe 15 years ago, where when somebody hit six figures back then, that was a massive deal. I'm not saying it's not a massive deal today. I'm saying that it's not, $100,000 isn't what it used to be. So with my clients, and I have clients that have 8-figure businesses. I don't know how I'm not maybe a master in their industry, but I'm masterful on helping them excel. And 7-figure businesses and all that kind of thing. So that was like a very first aha. I like any book also that tells the story about overcoming the challenge to their whatever success. Like I love that.
Thank you. I never heard that second book, so thank you.
Yeah. And it was 15 years ago. Can you tell us who was the person who influenced you the most in your life to become who you are now and why?
Well, it's obviously my mother. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in therapy and coaching and millions of dollars probably in millions of hours and it seems like reading, etc. My mother didn't, as an adult now, I'm able to obviously reflect back. But I had a very challenging childhood. Like I said, I moved out before I graduated high school. And so what she gave to me was an example of the type of woman I didn't want to be and the type of mother I didn't want to be. And those are gifts. Although the price for learning those gifts was a heavy one. I mean, I feel proud of the mother that I am, right? I feel I have a very successful company and business, and I'm brilliant at coaching, and I live in my zone of genius. So I think for sure that her money fear, her money scarcity, oh my God, that was definitely a catalyst. Like I said, I own 2 homes, I live a 7-figure life, and that was hard. That was not easy to overcome all that mental mindset, money scarcity stuff. And that's a lot of the work I do too. It's like, you got to bust through all those limiting beliefs. So for sure for her, without a doubt. And then I have to say also my husband, my husband as a Marine, his work ethic is phenomenal, and I aspire to be more like that.
Wow. Thank you. This was an extraordinary conversation, far beyond. I'm so grateful that there was a connection. It is through social media, actually,
yes.
In one of your groups.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. I hope that we get to connect in the future and you come back, because this was a very focused topic, and I hear and I'm experiencing your breadth and your zone of genius is so far greater than we had a chance in this hour. So I hope you'll
Thank you. I'd love
be open to
I
another invitation.
I agree, because there's a whole other piece of you we didn't unpack. Yes.
Yes. So you allowed us. So as we wrap up this episode, is there any other words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I think the last thing really is making the decision to lead a life uncommon, right? Of course, that's my podcast. That's my brand. But it's a decision. You have to make a decision on the life that you want to lead. And you must make the decision daily that you are the leader of your life. Because if you don't choose to acknowledge it daily that you can lead a life uncommon, then you turn over your power to everything else in life. And I don't want that for you. I want for every single listener, and for all of us, me included, to stay connected to the truth of the matter that we can do so many things. You can literally have what you want, and you can have it unapologetically and guilt-free.
Period. Drop the mic. Wow. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being a yes. And grateful for this connection today. And I want to also thank our listeners for listening to the Breakthrough the Ordinary podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode and this deep dive, I say, into authenticity of self, right? This permission to design as you see fit authentically. And if you would like to support the podcast, please leave a rating and share it with others on social media. And to catch the latest episodes, follow us at the BTO Podcast on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And until the next episode, thank you and be well.
Be bold.
Woo! Bye now.